I've asked this question of a lot of people, and the response has been 99% of people answer the same thing. We pay tax because it funds schools, infrastructure, libraries, hospitals, roads, things like that. Now, that is true, but that's not what my question is. When I'm asking why do we pay tax, I'm saying in the context of a world where we are conjuring money out of nothing, why do we actually need to pay tax? Tax is the idea that everyone chips in so that all of those community common services and goods and services can be provided. And that makes perfect sense. My main concern at the moment is tax now seems to have morphed into something else entirely. And I say this because we have now, almost everywhere in the world, we have governments that deficit spend. And what deficit spending means is they borrow money in order to spend on all sorts of things. You raise $1 billion in tax, you spend $2 billion on all sorts of stuff. That means you've got a $1 billion deficit, which means you are deficit spending. You are spending beyond your means, is what it means. Why is it that all around the world, everywhere, the debt just keeps going up? We seem to have figured out a way to justify deficit spending in all cases. When the economy is really strong, we can deficit spend because the economy is really strong. When the economy is really weak, we need to increase the debt because we need to deficit spend because the economy is really weak. The politicians and the banks are in each other's pockets, they fund one another. The money is created out of nothing. The debt gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It means that we have a Goldilocks situation. And I say a Goldilocks in the sense that we are going to spend like there's no tomorrow and the debt is going to be repaid, but not by us. The can is always kicked down the road. The debt always gets bigger. And I'm saying to you, in that particular scenario, why the hell do you need to pay tax? If the tax is this much and the spending is this much, why not have the tax this much and the spending this much? What's the difference? The idea is, I think, the tax is kind of like a collateral for the spending. Governments are able to borrow huge amounts of money on the international market to fund all their election bribes, based on the promise that future taxpayers will be forced to pay the bill. Now, I would not have the attitude that I have. I wouldn't ask the question, why do we pay tax? Why do we need to pay tax? If the deficit fluctuated and if every now and again it went up and every now and again it went down and whatever, but the fact that it just never stops going up makes me think there's something systemic here. I think the reason why we have the tax, it's becoming increasingly clear to me, is because when you take tax from people, it hurts. And there is nothing better than promising them at election time that you're going to give them some back. Take away to give it back. You don't actually need it. You are deficit spending anyway. If you had sound money, if you had decent interest rates, if you had government and private competing for the same pool of funds, there is no way you could do something like that, because the interest rate, as soon as you borrowed too much, would stop you borrowing more. That would be the feedback mechanism. That's supposed to be the feedback mechanism. What's ended up happening is, not just since the GFC, but especially since the GFC, the central bankers have stepped in, they have pushed interest rates to the floor, they have thrown cheap money out all over the place, and they have basically saved the politicians from making any difficult choices about spending. The key point is that when you live in a world where you have sound money and where you have competition for financial resources, and when you have opportunity cost, which is if you choose that instead of that, it's going to cost you something. Taxes make perfect sense. It's a thing about the finite planet, the consumption of resources, the price of things according to what the economy says. These are very important things that influence human behavior. As soon as you decouple the financial system from the real world, which is what we've done, by flooding the world with fake money, you are allowing the politicians to promise what they can't possibly deliver. But they don't care, because they're not going to have to pay. If you can deficit spend out the wazoo, like America's now spending $1 trillion a year, $1 trillion, that's $1,000 billion a year more than they collect in tax receipts. Australia's got a deficit of some 500 billion now. 10 years ago it was zero. I hear all about how, it was necessary because of the GFC, and so the GFC was 10 years ago now. We've had 10 years of growth. Why does the deficit just keep on going up and up and up? It's because as a result of the GFC, interest rates were pushed to the floor. As a result of that, huge amounts of spending, deficit spending, eventuated. As a result of that, there is now so much debt that interest rates can't go up. As a result of that, the deficit spending can continue. As a result of that, the debt's just going to keep on getting bigger. As a result of that, interest rates can't go up. As a result of that, why do we have tax?